Ontario's secret rule change could end your stay in Canada. Welcome back to Canada Chronicles. Today, we're uncovering a major shift that could reshape the future for thousands of immigrants, students, and workers in Ontario. A quiet policy update took effect in late 2025, creating uncertainty for anyone relying on the study, work, stay pathway to build a life in Canada. While few people have even heard about it, this change could be massive as Ontario tightens how it handles immigration applications and aligns with Ottawa's new national limits. If you're studying, working, or planning to apply for permanent residence in Ontario, this update affects you directly. And understanding it could determine whether you stay in Canada or face starting over. And here's the bigger picture. 2026 is shaping up to be a make-or-break year for newcomers, with sweeping national changes that could make staying in Canada harder than ever. We'll reveal what's coming next in the 2026 immigration crunch, what it means for you. So stay tuned until the end to learn what's really happening, why it matters, and how you can prepare before it's too late. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss updates that could affect your future in Canada. Let's get started. The quiet shift that could upend immigration in Ontario. Something big is happening in Ontario's immigration system, and most people have no idea. It's not a flashy announcement or a new visa program. It's a policy update buried in bureaucracy that quietly took effect on October 31st, 2025. At the center of it is the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, the province's main pathway for skilled workers, graduates, and job offer holders who want permanent residence. Ontario quietly expanded the list of reasons applications can be suspended or returned, a framework now reported by immigration news outlets to include up to 18 factors. This gives Ontario's immigration director more power to return files even after applicants have met eligibility requirements. It sounds technical, but for international students and workers, it could be the difference between staying in Canada or losing the chance to reapply. What the new rule actually does. The regulation update allows the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program to stop or return applications under a wider range of conditions than before. Previously, files were returned mostly for missing documents or full intake caps. Under the new system, applications can also be returned if program quotas are reached, applicants fail to provide updates on time, information appears inconsistent or inaccurate, administrative or technical issues arise, government priorities change at either the federal or provincial level. Even small inconsistencies or delays can now send your file back to the start. While Ontario hasn't published the full list of factors, immigration law professionals say the rule expands discretionary control. It means approval rates may fluctuate whenever the province adjusts to new federal targets or labor priorities. Considering that more than 40% of all newcomers to Canada settle in Ontario, even minor changes here send shockwaves across the country. Why October 31st matters. The timing isn't random. The change coincides with the federal immigration levels plan for 2026 to 2028. The latest plan from Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada keeps permanent resident admissions around 380,000 per year, but reduces temporary resident permits, including study and work visas. That means fewer newcomers arriving through temporary channels, and Ontario is adjusting accordingly. With more than 700,000 international students and tens of thousands of temporary workers already in the province, Ontario is under intense pressure to balance growth with housing shortages, job competition, and infrastructure demands. This new rule gives the province a tool to manage intake more aggressively. It allows Ontario to hold or return files once program limits are reached or when national quotas shift. In effect, Ontario gains the power to decide who gets processed and when. Who faces the greatest risk? Those most affected are the very people who form the backbone of Ontario's immigrant workforce. International students finishing college or university programs, post-graduation work permit holders seeking permanent residence, employers sponsoring staff through Ontario's job offer streams, applicants in the human capital and master's graduate categories. These streams depend on timing. If a cap fills just before your application arrives, the province can now return it instantly, even if you qualify. Because Ontario's intakes are unpredictable, missing one window could mean waiting months for another chance. For post-graduation work permit holders, this is risky. Those permits usually last 1 to 3 years. If your nomination is delayed or returned and your permit expires, you could lose legal status unless you secure another option. The rule doesn't automatically cancel anyone's permit, but it raises the odds of delays that can quietly end your ability to stay. How federal caps trigger provincial tightening. The federal government's 2025 report signals a clear shift. Canada is entering a period of controlled immigration growth. The message is stability over expansion. Ottawa will keep permanent resident admissions steady, but reduce the number of temporary visas. For provinces like Ontario, that means fewer candidates to nominate and a need to prioritize more strictly. The new Ontario rule works as a pressure valve. When federal quotas tighten, the province can slow down processing or return excess files instead of letting backlogs build up. This creates a two-step filter. Ottawa limits the inflow, and Ontario decides which cases move forward. For international students, foreign workers, and employers, that means more competition and less predictability, transparency and uncertainty. Immigration lawyers have raised concerns about transparency. When Ontario returns a file, processing stops immediately, and applicants have no guarantee of priority when they reapply. You could meet every requirement, submit on time, and still lose your place if quotas fill or priorities shift. And because every immigration stage, from study permit to work permit to permanent residence, runs on strict deadlines, a short administrative delay can undo years of planning. The driver's license connection. While Ontario tightens immigration control, another change is coming that links immigration status to daily life. Bill 60, the Fighting Delays, Building Faster Act of 2025, proposes updates to the Highway Traffic Act requiring proof of legal immigration status when obtaining or renewing a driver's license. If your permit or visa expires, your license could be suspended until you restore your status. Set to begin in early 2026, this aligns provincial services with immigration compliance. For workers in logistics, healthcare, construction, and delivery, a suspended license could mean losing employment and income, and potentially the right to stay. Ontario and Ottawa in lockstep. The timing of Ontario's rule in late 2025 and Bill 60's rollout in 2026 shows clear coordination between the province and the federal government. Both are steering towards stricter documentation, fewer temporary residents, and stronger verification of legal status. In practice, that means fewer open pathways for students and temporary workers to extend their stay, more paperwork at both levels of government, tighter compliance checks tied to jobs, housing, and services. These steps are meant to reduce fraud and relieve housing pressure, but they also make it harder for honest applicants to keep up. A real example. Picture Ravi, a Toronto College graduate. He applies for the International Graduate Stream in October 2025. Weeks later, Ontario's new rule takes effect, and the program reaches its quota. His file is returned. His post-graduation work permit expires in 6 months, but the next intake won't open for nearly a year. He followed every rule, studied, worked, applied, yet his stay could end because his application landed after the cutoff. That's how one quiet regulation can change a person's future. Thanks for staying with us this far. We appreciate your time and hope you're finding this information valuable. The 2026 Immigration Crunch, what it means for you. The Ontario rule is only the start. The real pressure begins in 2026, when Canada's new immigration targets take full effect. The federal government will keep permanent resident numbers stable, but cut temporary resident entries nearly in half. That means fewer study permits, fewer work permits, and stricter enforcement of expiry dates. Ontario will feel this first. Thousands of graduates will compete for limited permanent residency spots. Employers in construction, healthcare, agriculture, food processing, and transportation, industries that depend heavily on foreign labor, will face longer approval times and tougher inspections. Government audits are already increasing, with more companies fined or banned for violations. The message is clear. Canada is tightening oversight, and newcomers must adapt. If you're in Ontario, prepare now. Verify your program's post-graduation work permit eligibility, track provincial nomination openings, and renew your documents early. Once the 2026 limits are enforced, small mistakes could cost you everything. How to stay secure under the new rules. 1. Apply early. Don't wait until your permit is close to expiring. 2. Double-check your paperwork. Minor errors now carry major consequences. 3. Keep your status valid. Losing it could impact your job and even your license. 4. Stay informed. Monitor Ontario and federal announcements monthly. 5. Seek professional help. Licensed consultants can help you navigate complex new requirements. The bottom line: Ontario's new rule may seem minor, but it signals a shift toward a more selective and tightly managed immigration system. Canada isn't closing its doors. It's narrowing the entrance and demanding more precision. For newcomers, that means not panic, but preparation. The dream to study, work, and stay in Canada remains possible, but success now depends on timing, accuracy, and awareness. Before we wrap up, remember, these aren't minor updates. They represent a new era of stricter immigration control. Act early, stay informed, and protect your future. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share it with anyone planning to live or work in Canada. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.